Over the past 8 years, Egypt was able to achieve progress and guarantee the safety of all sectors as the agricultural sector and the national food security came on the most important priorities of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi. It is worth mentioning that the livestock and fisheries witnessed a great boom, as the national project for fisheries in Ghalioun Pond was one of the most important projects launched by the President, where, according to the statistics of the Food and Agriculture Organization, Egypt was ranked 7th in the world in fisheries and ranked 1st in Africa in fish production. President el-Sisi's attention to livestock led to a drop in meat prices in the market. The livestock sector implemented the national project to revive the veal, where small farmers were funded with more than £7 billion for the veal project, benefiting more than 40,000 small breeders and helping to increase livestock by more than 40,000 heads. Egypt has actually exceeded 60% of self-sufficiency in meat. The President was also keen on developing poultry wealth in terms of providing vaccines and feed, so that Egypt would produce 1.2 billion poultry in different types annually. The President also paid attention to paving roads and establishing networks which led to the ease of transporting agricultural products while reducing their costs and thus lower prices in the markets. Also, over the past 8 years, the agricultural sector has witnessed great activity, especially after President el-Sisi launched the national project to reclaim 1.5 million fedans to build new urban communities based on agriculture. The 1.5 million fedans project, launched in 2015, includes 13 areas in 8 governorates located in Upper Egypt and Sinai. According to the state of the climate, soil analysis and water salinity, these governorates are Qina, Aswan, Minya, New Valley, Matruh, South Sinai, Ismailia and Giza. The governorates were selected after in-depth studies to be close to urban areas, lines of communication between governorates and the road network. The President has also launched the new Delta project, which aims to reclaim and cultivate more than 1 million fedans, which costs hundreds of billions to plant strategic crops and establish integrated urban agricultural communities. In 2016, the Productive Village Initiative was launched in coordination between the Ministries of Agriculture and Land Reclamation and Local Development, in implementation of President el-Sisi's directives. The initiative aims to provide 200,000 job opportunities for youth and women in its first year by supporting small and micro enterprises. The initiative relies mainly on taking advantage of the comparative advantage of each governorate and its famous agricultural, livestock and poultry products, created an added value for the crops for which the governorate is famous for, and supporting the industries based on it. A number of training courses have already been started in different governorates to qualify young people to implement a number of projects that contribute to the revival and return of the productive village. During the past 8 years, the Egyptian agricultural exports witnessed an unprecedented boom, as the Ministry of Agriculture and Land Reclamation announced in its latest report that the volume of agricultural exports rose to 3,115,312 tons during the period from January 1st to May 25th of 2022. Silos and hangars have also been established to accommodate superior storage capacities for storing wheat as a strategic commodity that has received great attention from the President during the last period, which was embodied during the current global crisis in increasing the storage of wheat quantities. The keen interest to support the agricultural sector was evident during the corona pandemic and during the current crisis between Russia and Ukraine, where after the corona pandemic the agricultural sector became one of the most important sectors in the world. It is the sector responsible for providing the basic needs of the people and responsible for enhancing food security, which has become part of the national security of countries. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, continuing our discussion with Dr. ElDin. Now, sir, you've highlighted the importance of biotechnology on farming and agriculture, but if we're going to look at the use of biotechnology for livestock and poultry and fisheries. How can it be as important and as effective in this sector like it would be for the farming sector?
Well, it is extremely beneficial. By converting the raw material produced by those animals, or even for the normal agriculture, into different products by processing. If you go into, producing a cheese out of milk, this is an added value to the milk. It's better for the producer to sell cheese and more profitable than to sell milk. This is one of the biotechnology tools or ways. This is how biotechnology could make an added value to those production. You can take it for everyone. Every certain product, like milk, like meat, like whatever, fish. This is the best way. And it could be done in a faster manner, more massive production. This is the way that we can make use of those.
Yes. Well, we were talking about the private sector and how much the private sector, how important is it for the agricultural sector and the agricultural industry as a whole. Now, how can we increase the involvement of the private sector in terms of agriculture and farming? I mean, they have a big share within the livestock and poultry and fisheries, but we want to increase their share within the farming and agricultural side of it. Now, how can we encourage the private sector? How can it be much more attractive for the private sector to have a bigger role, since they would be investing more money, more importing more of the know-how and working with biotechnology?
Well, for the private sector, I think we need to make the land available, okay? And in an easy way. We have to have some support from the bank, from the government, long-term loans or whatever, because they need this. And also the government should make available all the infrastructure. Because they think, the businessmen, the private sector, they believe that the infrastructure is not their role, okay? But if you make the infrastructure available, like the energy, electricity, hospitals, security, police existence in the area, roads, whatever, okay? This kind of thing, if these things are available and the land is there, with some help or aid, financial, I'm talking about financial aids, I think they can go better. And we can put incentives, like think about the taxes, make them a kind of tax-free for 5 years or for 10 years or whatever. I'm not a specialist in this, but this could be done. This is going to be, or could be, a good way to attract the business to go into this.
Yes. Well, the government is already working on cultivating a 1.5 million fidans, the new Delta project, which seems that it is exactly what you're talking about, providing all the land, the infrastructure, and they can have big clusters of land. How do you view this project, the new Delta project, 1.5 million fidans? How can it be such a big jump, a big leap in the agricultural industry, and also for the private sector to be much more involved in this industry?
Let me first tell you that the new Delta is 2.2 million fidans. And this is not the 1.5 million fidans. There are two things.
Yes.
So actually there are about 4 millions, both projects, two different projects. I'm extremely happy, because we need this. We need to expand. We are still living on 5 to 6% of our land, of Egypt. And we have 94, 93, 95 desert.
Yes.
We need to go to expand. The only limitation is the water, okay? The land is fine, and I'm happy with this. But we need to think about the water sources. How can we modify those water? How can we treat the available water to cope with the agriculture, or to cope the agriculture with the available water. Because sometimes, as I said, we cannot go against the nature.
Yes.
Struggling with the nature is a lost war.
Yes. Well, the water file has been a huge file of concern to Egypt over the past more than a decade, almost 12 or 11 years now. Now, you've mentioned the possible solutions, trying to adopt our agriculture and farming according to the available water, also talking about treating the water, desalination, but at the same time, we can't really go very much against nature. How can we find some sort of, hit that right balance, hit the right spot in trying to make use of our available water resources, treat the water, not go very much against nature? How can we reach that sort of equilibrium?
Well, number one is to go through our existing irrigation systems. These has to be modified extremely. We are still using very old-fashioned ways. Of course, it will not be successful everywhere, but
Yes.
it could be successful in some places. We can go to modernize the irrigation system,
Yes.
and then we can use the excessive water that we have to go for the new land.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, there's a lot more to talk about in the agricultural industry. Obviously, the President's inauguration of the complex today is a great step ahead in this sector, but unfortunately that's all the time we have for this edition of the Daily Debate. Before we go, I'd like to thank my very distinguished guest, Dr. Waleed ElDin, the Professor at the Faculty of Agriculture and Biotechnology at the University of Cairo. Dr. ElDin, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much,
sir. Ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for more coming up on Nile International. I'm Henny Saif. Thank you for joining us.